What is up, guys? It's your boy at DFS Jimmy, bringing you a brand new video series for the NFL season this year from our friends over at fansharesports.com. That's right, the guys over at fansharesports.com are doing all the work for you. They listen to every podcast, they read every article, they aggregate all the sentiment from around the industry and put it into one easy-to-use place for you over at fansharesports.com. Make sure you get over there and check those guys out. They are sponsoring this video. We are also using all the information from Fanshare Sports to generate this video. So from their proprietary user tags and their buzz score and their aggregation of sentiment, what I'm doing is I'm going to, in this video series for Construction Corner every week, is I'm going to take their information over at Fanshare and I'm going to break down the 4 most popular players that I think you're going to see grouped together in a cash lineup this week and every other week. And then from those plays and that sort of dominant roster construction for the week, we're going to look at ways to potentially construct a core of GPP players where the lineup build is different and also the players are different. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the cash core for week 1. So based on the sentiment rankings and the popularity of how the touts feel so far this week, these are the 4 players that I think you're going to see most commonly grouped together to start your cash game cores around the industry. And it starts at the top with Alvin Kamara, $8,500 in a great spot at home against Tampa Bay, high over under, squarely cemented in as the RB1, doesn't have any competition for carries, will catch balls out of the backfield. Just an electric player. Everything is pointing towards Alvin Kamara this week. Certainly will be very popular and rightfully so. Right after him is Christian McCaffrey, getting a lot of buzz, not only in week 1, but for the season-long guys. At $6,400, I think a lot of people are going to latch on to Christian McCaffrey because of his usage. Squarely, again, cemented as the RB1. Is going to be a 3-down back more than likely. Should catch plenty of balls out of the backfield. Should have no problem paying off his $6,400 price tag in week 1 at home against Dallas. And that said, I do believe that this is where most people are going to start this week. So if they're taking an expensive running back and a mid-tier running back to start off their lineups, they're going to have to save elsewhere, and they're also not going to be able to roster the high-end wide receivers. So we'll touch on that when we get to the GPP core, but I do believe most people are going to start with a strong running back, one of the top 4 or 5 guys, and then they're going to pivot down and make Christian McCaffrey their number 2. Moving down for tight end at $3,600, Jack Doyle is getting a ton of buzz. Should have a really strong floor for cash. Cemented in the offense in 2 tight end sets. He's out there for plenty of passes, and I think that Andrew Luck this year is going to have to rely on his short and intermediate passing, especially early in the season as he gets back, kind of going in game speed again after being off for a whole year with his shoulder injury, as well as missing their starting running back in Marlon Mack. I do believe that Indy's key to success here early in the season is to involve Jack Doyle in the short and intermediate routes over the middle. Should see plenty of balls thrown his way and shouldn't have any trouble paying off his $36 price tag this week. And finally, the chalk of all chalk in week 1, it is the Baltimore Ravens defense at home against what appears to be a bit of a hapless or rudderless Buffalo team at this point. The Ravens are projected for the most ownership of any defense on the slate. They also have the highest points projection. Certainly makes the most sense for the Ravens defense to be getting the buzz that it does, or that they are this week. This is what I believe you're going to see as your 4 most common pieces throughout cash lineups this week. If you want to roster all 4 of them, it's going to cost you $22,300. That's about 44% of your total budget, and Fanshare has them projected out at 60.31 points for the group. Now, let's jump over to GPPs and see how we can maybe pivot off of some of that. So, like I said, I think that the popular lineup construction for cash will be to grab an expensive running back and then a mid-tier running back in Christian McCaffrey. So one way to be different is to start with 2 expensive wide receivers instead. And I think that's a great way to pivot around in GPPs this week, especially since wide receivers have, while they have more variance, they also tend to have higher ceilings, and that's what we're looking for in GPPs is ceilings. So AJ Green in a great spot against a bad Indianapolis defense in the Dome. In a game that has the potential to shoot out. Both teams have quite a few offensive weapons. Both teams have big playmakers. I think AJ Green could find a way to to fit you into a 22 point game. Projected for a comfortable 16.9 points. His ceiling quite a bit higher than that. And really he has close to a 28 point ceiling for $7,300. Pretty good value when you compare the ceiling score to some of the guys that are more expensive than him. Michael Thomas is sort of a 2-for-1 in differentiation. If you're stacking him with another expensive receiver, you're going to be different. But if you're playing Michael Thomas in general, I think you're going to be different than a lot of folks who just insta-lock Alvin Kamara into their lineups this week. One way to always be different from the field is if you want to be on the passing game or the running game of a super chalky guy, just go the other way. Michael Thomas makes a great pivot from Alvin Kamara in GPPs this week. Big time receivers, lots of upside. Shouldn't have any trouble getting volume at home. So moving down, a pivot on tight end I think is going to be really low owned, but has the upside for 2 touchdowns in a game where Cleveland should have to throw to stay in it. I see David Njoku as the type of guy that can come down with a 4 for 65 and 2 touchdowns type of line. Big bodied, very athletic, borderline tight end, wide receiver type of build. But shown quite a bit of flash last year as well as early in the preseason. I think David Njoku has a decent ceiling at really low ownership this week. And then finally, I talked about how maybe the Buffalo team is a bit rudderless, a bit hapless, and while I think that is generally true, the one consistent piece in that offense and in that scheme is LaShawn McCoy. He's a bit game script proof as well. Going to catch plenty of balls out of the backfield, involved in the run game on the ground, squarely locked in as the #1 running back. Shouldn't have any trouble getting 20, 25 plus touches in this game. A game that I do expect them to be playing from behind, which should only increase, sort of the reception floor for LaShawn McCoy. And he does have the big play potential, does have the breakaway speed, and certainly can score multiple touchdowns in a game. So if you're looking to roster all 4 of these guys, you're looking at about 24,500, right at 49% of your total budget. Their projection is 53.81 points. Again, these players are selected based on low ownership and high upside. When we're looking at GPP players, we're looking for ceiling and we're looking for differentiation and ownership, and that's what these guys provide. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Construction Corner. Make sure you get over to Fanshare Sports, check those guys out. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at DFSJimmy. While you're at it, give the video a like. We certainly appreciate it. Best of luck this week, guys. We'll see everybody next week. Actually, before we go, I have just gotten a notification. It looks like Le'Veon Bell has the potential to sit out week 1. I'm not getting any more than his agent alluded to the fact that his sit out could continue past week 1. If this is true, this is big time news. I'm glad it came right at the end of this video. This could keep an eye on this. This could, if Le'Veon Bell is out week 1, this will squarely put James Conner in play at $4,500 in all formats. Okay, in all formats, James Conner will be in play at $4,500. Keep an eye on this. There's nothing definitive yet. Just sort of the question mark gets even bigger for Le'Veon Bell reporting to the team. But as I am finishing recording this video, the news is breaking that his agent is stating that there is potential for his sit out to continue past week 1. So make sure you keep an eye on that as we lead up to lineup lock on Sunday. But James Conner and his availability for week 1 is definitely in play if Le'Veon Bell is out. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Again, best of luck to everybody this week. We'll see you guys next week.